Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. At 1 o'clock Eastern, the White House press briefing will take place, of course, with Karoline Leavitt. We'll have that here live for you. Tonight, our coverage for the president's remarks at the National Republican Congressional Committee annual fundraising dinner will take place. That'll be held in Washington, D.C. at Union Station. Our coverage starts at 6 p.m. Eastern. Let's go now to a new White House video all about the new DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin for clip number 2.
We're thrilled to swear in our new Secretary of Homeland Security, a great American patriot, to put it mildly, Markwayne Mullin. There's one man for this job, and I have no doubt he's going to be fantastic.
But I don't care what color your state is. I don't care if you're red or you're blue. At the end of the day, my job is to be Secretary of Homeland and to protect everybody the same. And we will do that. No one's going to outwork me. The president has entrusted me with this, and failure is not an option. And so thank you so much, Mr. President, for this opportunity. I won't let you down.
And we'll soon be speaking with the White House Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson regarding the new DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin. That'll be tomorrow. But until then, of course, covering a lot of the news stories that we're seeing out there, specifically about the Save America Act. And how about the words mass migration? That's something you usually hear in Europe, maybe. Well, we know that we're hearing that here in the United States as well, as Texas Representative Brandon Gill had some great statements on the Save America Act and mass migration. Let's take a listen.
I don't know what other logical conclusion we can draw from the past couple months of Democrat idiocy other than that they want to systematically weaponize mass migration to flood our communities with illegal aliens in order to rig American elections in their favor and against Republicans.
You know, sometimes less is more, and sometimes it's the wisdom in something that's a simple statement. And that was a very common sense, concise statement. And you know, when you have some of the Democrats and maybe some of the rhinos out there speaking with these long-winded orations or speeches, or if you look at some of the news media and they go on and on and on talking about something, why are you taking so long just to lie to us? We know that Brandon Gill's telling the truth right there. It's simple, common sense information. So in case you missed it, why don't we look at clip number 3 one more time here on Right Side.
I don't know what other logical conclusion we can draw from the past couple months of Democrat idiocy other than that they want to systematically weaponize mass migration to flood our communities with illegal aliens in order to rig American elections in their favor and against Republicans.
All right, so telling it like it is, it's something that we like to hear in conservative media, and of course, we the people. That's what we're growing accustomed to right now. We don't want to hear this long oration, this long speech about whatever. We just want to hear it how it is. And that's partly why President Trump won 3 straight elections, really, because he told it like it is. And that's something that we want to hear here in the media, but also in representing we the people. A lot of people out there that might not have a podcast or maybe a platform or a big following on social media. It's the voiceless out there. You still have a voice, though. It's your vote, it's your prayer, it's your hard work, it's speaking to your friends and your family. We're all in this thing called Saving America together, and partly passing the Save America Act will get that job done. And we know that voter ID and the proof of citizenship and the mail-in ballots, stopping the mail-in ballots except for medical and military is the way to go. So we'll see what happens there on the Senate floor. But we will always know, regardless of what transpires, if that act becomes law or if somehow there's no nuking of the filibuster and this thing does not pass, we the people, the massive majority of this country will know, well, we have the Senate, we have the House, we have the presidency, but for some reason the Save America Act couldn't get passed. It can get passed. Nuke the filibuster. That's one way to do it. And a lot of people are saying, well, what about the Democrats? They may nuke the filibuster when they get into power or whenever that may be. Well, they're going to do that when they get into power, if they get into power again and they win through an election. So right now, the crucial high priority for our country is the Save America Act, to pass that. And to see transparency and to see accountability. We know all the things, right? Because we want our country to continue to be free. So let's go to Capitol Hill in the meantime for an update from the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, for clip number 4.
This is not a game, but Democrats have shut down the exact law enforcement agencies that are responsible for apprehending and deporting criminal illegal aliens, just like this criminal here that took Sheridan's life. Congressional Democrats have held our airports, TSA, FEMA, the Coast Guard, so many critical functions of our government. We're talking about anti-bioterrorism matters and issues. You're talking about cybersecurity, all these things. They are holding the government hostage. Why? What is their demand? At the root of all this, they want to reopen the border and they want to protect criminal illegal aliens just like this murderer here. That is the modern Democrat Party. And they verify it for us with their actions every day. This is not talking points. These aren't political talking points. This is the facts. At the State of the Union, you remember, everybody knows, the president said, he asked a very simple question: stand and applaud if you think the first job of the federal government is to protect American citizens over illegal aliens. Every single Democrat in the chamber sat on their hands. At this exact moment, even as we learn of yet another entirely preventable murder of an innocent young woman at the hands of criminal illegal aliens, Democrats in the House are demanding a DHS bill that would eliminate funding for the exact agencies that are tasked with preventing a tragedy like this.
All right, so that was within the past hour or so on Capitol Hill, hearing from the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. You know, again, I hope that there's no recess. I hope that there's no vacation. I hope that there's no Easter vacation. Can you believe I said that? Well, I'm not the one that really said it. President Trump said it on Truth Social. And a lot of people out there are saying, you know, you guys should probably stay at the Senate, get the Save America Act passed. That's way more important right now than going home. You can still celebrate Easter from afar. This is the seriousness of the matter. Am I wrong? Am I out of turn to say something like that? Come on, really? They're getting paid a lot of money annually by our tax dollars, and then all of the other, however they make money as well. So, you know, come on, guys, please pass this thing. I don't know. I'm just, a lot of people saying the same thing on Truth Social and on X out there. And we also were covering another story just moments ago, if you guys caught it. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but whether you like it or not, the robotics age is here. In case you missed it, the First Lady of the United States and Figure 3, a humanoid robot, walked into the East Room of the White House moments ago, and that robot said hello in various languages. Let's take a look at clip 5.
Господа, първата дама на Съединените американски държави, Мелания Трамп.
Thank you, First Lady Melania Trump, for inviting me to the White House. It is an honor to be at Fostering the Future Together's Global Coalition inaugural meeting. I'm Figure 3, a humanoid built in the United States of America. I am grateful to be part of this historic movement to empower children with technology and education. Welcome. Bienvenidos. Yokoso. Bienvenue. Bem-vindos. Ahlan wa sahlan. Shagatam. Mogisal Mebit. Bruchim Abaim. Laskavo Prosimo. Dobrodošli. Thank you.
Imagine a humanoid educator named Plato. Access to the classical studies is now instantaneous. Literature, science, art, philosophy, mathematics, and history. Humanity's entire corpus of information is available in the comfort of your home. Plato will provide a personalized experience, adaptive to the needs of each student. Plato is always patient and always available. Predictably, our children will develop deep critical thinking and independent reasoning abilities. The AI-powered Plato will boost analytics skills and problem solving and adapt in real time to a student's pace, prior knowledge, and even emotional state. The byproduct, a more well-rounded lifestyle for our children, freeing up time for being with friends, playing sports, and developing interest beyond school. A more complete person, but as discussed yesterday, we must balance our tech optimism with caution. The safety of our next generation is always paramount. Knowledge is the foundation of civilization, but although academia is interesting, business is compelling. For real growth in technology and education, I encourage you to bring the private and public sector worlds together.
All right, so we heard from the First Lady Melania Trump earlier today at this coalition summit in the East Room of the White House. Quite the entrance there to the East Room of the White House with the Figure 3 humanoid robot. We will play that video in a little bit again for our viewers that are slowly coming to our network right now as we get ready to see the White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt live from the James S. Brady Press Briefing Room. Now, for our Way Back Wednesday segment, as we are tracking a number of stories out there still, this one is kind of within the context of what's going on in our country when it comes to illegal aliens in our nation and then possibly voting in our elections, that kind of thing. We're talking about the midterm election here. We hope that's not going to happen. But let's go to October of 2023. So President Trump, or at the time, candidate Trump, was campaigning in Iowa. So I was flying through Chicago O'Hare Airport on the way to Iowa when I ran into one of the terminals there that, if you remember, one of the terminals at O'Hare was housing illegal aliens because they were getting flown in under Biden. So let's go to clip number 6, where I just simply used the phone and talked to some illegal immigrants.
So you guys came from Tijuana, San Diego area? Tijuana, San Diego, you flew here? Where are you from?
Venezuela.
Venezuela. First time in the United States? First time in the United States. United States. First time. So how long was the trip up here? I mean, did you guys just walk?
Caminando.
Walk. Where are you from?
My name is Jair.
Where?
Jair.
And you were in San Diego?
San Diego. San Antonio.
San Antonio. Did they fly you here?
Yes.
Airplane.
Avión.
Do you like Trump or do you like Biden?
No. Biden. Que si está por Donald Trump o Biden.
You like Biden because he lets you in?
Sí. Yes.
But Trump, he's good.
Claro.
Trump is good.
Claro.
Bueno. Okay, thank you guys.
Yeah.
See you. Bye-bye. See you. Well, there you go, guys. I mean, it's real deal stuff right here in Chicago at the Chicago O'Hare Airport, Terminal 1. Pretty wild stuff to see somebody from Venezuela. I saw this report on Fox News Channel the other day, and I wanted to see what this was really about, so here you go. okay. Oh, okay. I got you.
So when I was saying, oh, okay, there, somebody, I don't know who it was, came up to me and said, you can't record in here. Well, by the way, it wasn't an airport employee, so you can't really enforce that. If it was police, okay, it's police. But it wasn't. It was someone there guarding all of the people that were illegal immigrants that were flown in to Chicago. And where are they now? And what am I to do, right? I'm asking them a question. I'm a journalist. I'm not law enforcement. And this is way before any kind of ICE mass deportation operation. And then if you saw after the Q&A that I had off the cuff there with the guys, there was a group of about 15, 20 illegal immigrants that were outside of a car there. What the heck's going on, right? And so that was just a little glimpse of what we saw on that southern border when Joe Biden was, allowing millions and millions of people to just come across that border. Then President Trump takes the helm and he says, you know what? We're making this a national emergency and we're bringing the military down there, and now the border is closed. However, a lot of people got flown in as well. So that all stopped, but still, there's a lot of people in this country, of course, that are not citizens of the nation. And how many have voted in the past? How many? I wonder how many, and how many would vote in the midterm election if the Save America Act is not passed. So you want receipts, you want proof in the pudding? There it is right there. Just a few people, but still, that was happening en masse for a long time. Remember all those videos of the caravans of people? I mean, there were drone shots. Remember the drone videos of people coming up through, whether it's South America, Central America, up right through Mexico, up to Texas. Remember Eagle Pass, Texas, all of that? Well, where are all those people? Some of them have self-deported and received a couple grand from the United States government to do so. Some have been deported by ICE and Customs Border Patrol. And then there's a whole lot more probably still here. What are we going to do for November 3rd's midterm? Are we going to have the Save America Act as a law, where you have to show your photo ID and a proof of citizenship when you register in a federal election? Are we going to allow mail-in ballots just to flood the system like we saw under COVID? And that's how we lost the election, right, in 2020? Or is it going to be mail-in ballots that are only for military or medical or other instances, and people will be forced to show a photo ID and on top of that proof of citizenship? So there's a lot out there. There's a lot of work to be done. And again, this is why we the people and others are saying, when it comes to this whole story of the Save America Act, there should be no recess, there should be no Easter break, there should be no vacations until the Save America Act is passed. Now, most likely what's going to happen is there still will be a recess and people will still go home for the holiday. Okay. Our tax dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, what is it? $174,000 is what is being made annually by people in Congress. All right, so we've got some great patriots in Congress. We have some great patriots. And then we have others that are just, Save America Act, just save America. Who cares if it happens or not, really? It's gonna fail. We don't need to do the filibuster. Oh, we're the Democrats will do nuke the filibuster if they get into power. But we won't do it. And the filibuster has been nuked in 2013 and 2017. So it's been used before for nominations, never for legislation, never for bills. But this is a different time that we're in. So that Save America Act has to be passed. We have talked about it day in and day out here. We'll continue to talk about it. And if it doesn't pass, the people will know. We, the people across this country, will be like, what are you guys doing in D.C. then? What's going on Capitol Hill? Why not? And there's plenty of people speaking about this thing passing. Also, the support from a number of known figures, including Utah's Mike Lee, including James Lankford of Louisiana, of course, Tommy Tuberville, of course, of Alabama, President Trump, and many people are talking about this. So that's one story I'm sinking my teeth into on this one because I can't let this one go. There's a number of other stories out there too, but this one here, this is a very common sense. Let's get the job done. It's clear as day. Anyway. Let's go to Rumble Wallet here, one of our great sponsors. You may have seen the conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back, and it's happening everywhere. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing this stuff they want us to see, and we can fight back in the information and financial arena. Rumble is one of the only companies that has stood the test of time and deserves our support. And on one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship, and on the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. So as some know out there, banks can actually cancel our accounts and freeze our cards. But that's why Rumble has launched Rumble Wallet. It's a wallet that no one can cancel and a wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip creators like us without any middleman taking the cuts. So with Rumble Wallet, you control your money. Not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. And it's yours and only yours. Yours to protect your future and family. So here's what you can do. You can buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin and Tether Gold in one place. Tether Gold is that real gold on the blockchain with ownership of physical gold bars. And it's not only a wallet to buy and save, but it also allows you to support your favorite creators by easily tipping them with a click of a button. And there's no fees at all when you tip our channel or others out there. We actually receive that tip instantly, unlike other platforms where we have to wait for those payouts. So you can support our show, others out there as well, by clicking the tip button on our channel. And you can also go to wallet.rumble.com. You can download Rumble Wallet today, open an account, step away from the big banks for good. Wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in the app stores. Also, Kalshi.com/RSBN. You have 3 ways to get to Kalshi. Millions of people already have done this, and it looks like millions more are on the way because you can trade on the most important events that are out there. You can bet, you could trade, you could just check out polls if you'd like. Just go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. You can use the QR code to get there. You can go to that website, or you can download the Kalshi app as well. A lot of different topics on there, a lot of political questions as well, including when will the DHS receive its funding so we can stop with this unprecedented long lines that we're seeing all across the country in various places, including in Houston, Texas. That looks like one of the worst spots. Atlanta, Philadelphia, New York, the big, obviously, major hubs dealing with that problem. But anyway, Kalshi.com/RSBN. Great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network as it's 12:23 Eastern Time. At the top of the hour, we'll see the White House press briefing with Karoline Leavitt. All right, so the new DHS Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, as I mentioned, Markwayne Mullin, spoke about the Save America Act in clip number 8. I believe we have that clip ready to go. Okay, let's go to that.
Lindsey Graham, the chairman, where the reconciliation will funnel through, he is committed to making sure we get reconciliation through. If that is in some form with funding ICE, possibly backfilling from the One Big Beautiful Bill, but also, more importantly, the Save America Act. There's a framework that we can do through reconciliation, paying for it, put some of the policies that cost money in, because there's nothing more important than the Save America Act. I mean, that's what the American people want. There's 80% of the population say they want only Americans voting, citizens that are registered to vote, citizens that have done it the right way. And I believe that everybody wants an election integrity. So fortunately, Lindsey Graham has said through reconciliation, he's willing to put the framework out for that.
And another option is nuking the filibuster, as many have said too. So we're going to see what happens there on the Senate floor. Let's also remain on Capitol Hill at least, or shift over to Capitol Hill, as there is a new DHS video about the problems that TSA is facing in clip number 7. Let's check it out.
So in the last minute I have questions that I would like just yes or no answers. Again, would like for you to have time to expand, but know that my time is short. Ms. McNeil, have the 60,000 men and women of TSA been paid since the government shutdown began? Yes or no?
They have not.
Mr. Anderson, have the 2,500 employees of CISA been paid since the government shut down? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Ms. Barton, have the 22,000 employees of FEMA been paid since the government shut down?
No, sir.
Ms. McNeil, has the shutdown impacted your ability to carry out your core mission?
It is getting harder by the day, sir.
Mr. Anderson, same question. Has your mission have it impacted your ability to carry out your mission?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
And Ms. Barton, same question to you.
I see the impacts every day.
Last question as my time expires. Ms. McNeil, is America more or less safe because of this government shutdown?
We are really concerned about our security posture and what the long-term impacts of the shutdown is going to have on the workforce and our ability to carry out the mission.
Mr. Anderson, is America more or less safe because of the shutdown?
The threat environment is too dynamic, sir, to allow this shutdown to continue on.
And Ms. Barton, are we more or less safe because of this shutdown?
We are crippling our disaster response and recovery abilities by the day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry for being over time, and I yield back.
So those are some of the things that we're hearing on Capitol Hill that happened just within the past hour. So just a lot of topics out there, a lot of stories, a lot of developing news in this rapidly changing 24/7 news cycle. We're juggling it all here for you. But on top of that, we'll be going live to the White House for that press briefing with Karoline Leavitt. That was an addition to the White House press schedule. Last night, that was not on there. Well, this morning, that 1 o'clock arrived on there, so we'll be here live for it. Also, live tonight for this RSBN triple header. If you missed our first live stream, it was all about the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, her event. And then this is the second live stream with Karoline Leavitt coming up. And tonight at 6 o'clock, we'll also have another live stream as the president will be speaking at the National Republican Congressional Committee annual fundraising dinner. That'll be in Union Station, the train station there in Washington, D.C. Our coverage starts at 6. Robert McNeely will be live with that coverage later today. Let's take a commercial break. This is RSBN Live. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. You saw All Family Pharmacy there. Let's go to a couple of our sponsors as we get ready to go to one of our other social media clips here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Which sponsor should we go to? Let's go to angelpaste.com. Out of Spring, Texas, of course. If you use the RSBN promo code, you get 10% off there, angelpaste.com. A lot of great products there to choose from if you like to peruse the website. And again, you can go on the QR code there, go directly to the site, or just go to angelpaste.com. Great sponsor, great products here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's also go to All Family Pharmacy as we would like to take a moment to tell you about one of our trusted sponsors, All Family Pharmacy. Now, if you're someone who believes in medical freedom, who supports the MAHA movement, and who's frustrated with a healthcare system that puts insurance companies and government bureaucrats between you and your doctor, All Family Pharmacy is for you. They are an independent American pharmacy, not a chain, and they give you direct access to the medications you need, including ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and over 400 generic medications without the runaround. Right now, exclusively for all of our viewers here at Right Side, you can get that 25% off that you see on your screen there using that RSBN 25 code. Now, here's how it works. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN is the site that you go to. You fill out a medical form, and then a licensed U.S. physician reviews your request, prescribes if appropriate, and your medication ships directly to your door. Now, with spring here, with the allergies and travel and uncertainty in the world, right now is a great time to be prepared. You can order ahead and be ready. This is exactly the kind of American business we should be supporting. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. All right, so it's the bottom of the hour right now. Let's go to Pete Hegseth, the Department of War Secretary, in case you missed it, with that update on Operation Epic Fury.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. You're spot on. Never in history has a modern military, Iran had a modern military, a modern Navy, a modern Air Force, modern air defenses, leadership, massive bunker. Never has a modern military been so rapidly and historically obliterated, defeated from day one with overwhelming firepower. The air campaign that we've conducted, that Israel's conducted alongside us, was one for the history books, truly. And it's because we have a president of the United States that when he sends his warfighters out to fight, he unties their hands to actually go out and close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one. And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs. You have a choice as we loiter over the top of Tehran, as the president talked about your future. The president has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield. This is not Iraq and Afghanistan. This is not a president who's interested in vague end states. He's been very clear with us about what we need to accomplish, creating the conditions for them never to have a nuclear capability, and that's exactly what we're doing in historic fashion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So obviously, a lot of you might have seen that clip here on Right Side Broadcasting Network just yesterday, as Markwayne Mullin, of course, was sworn in as the new Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. President Trump there yesterday speaking as well, of course, and also taking questions from the press. Speaking of taking questions from the press, Karoline Leavitt will do that at the top of the hour here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. As soon as we see that White House feed, we'll take you there live. In the meantime, let's go over some of the programming notes once again. So at 1 o'clock, we'll see Karoline Leavitt there at the White House. And tonight, the president will deliver remarks at the National Republican Congressional Committee annual fundraising dinner. That'll be at Union Station in Washington. That coverage starts at 6 o'clock right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Speaking of Markwayne Mullin, here is a new White House video all about the new DHS Secretary, clip number 2.
We're thrilled to swear in our new Secretary of Homeland Security, a great American patriot, to put it mildly, Markwayne Mullin. There's one man for this job, and I have no doubt he's going to be fantastic.
But I don't care what color your state is. I don't care if you're red or you're blue. At the end of the day, my job is to be Secretary of Homeland and to protect everybody the same. And we will do that. No one's going to outwork me. The president has entrusted me with this, and failure is not an option. And so thank you so much, Mr. President, for this opportunity. I won't let you down.
All right, that from the White House just recently. There's also this statement that I saw earlier from the Election Integrity Network. I'm going to get that pulled up here in just a second. They're really keeping their eye on and monitoring day 9 now of the U.S. Senate talking about the Save America Act as well. In just a minute, we'll go back to Capitol Hill. There's a hearing going on about the lack of funding for the Department of Homeland Security. This is not just affecting the Transportation Security Administration, which is really affecting those long lines at all the airports across the country, or at least a number of the big hubs. This is really affecting a number of other instances or aspects as well. So we'll get to that clip in just a little bit. In the meantime, let's go to clip number 3 right now. This is from the Texas representative, Brandon Gill. Had some great statements on the Save America Act and mass migration. Take a listen.
I don't know what other logical conclusion we can draw from the past couple months of Democrat idiocy other than that they want to systematically weaponize mass migration to flood our communities with illegal aliens in order to rig American elections in their favor and against Republicans.
Telling it like it is there on Capitol Hill. That's what we like to see, of course, as we the people. And let's specifically go now back to Capitol Hill for the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, speaking about 2 hours ago on the fact of the illegal immigration situation in our country.
This is not a game, but Democrats have shut down the exact law enforcement agencies that are responsible for apprehending and deporting criminal illegal aliens, just like this criminal here that took Sheridan's life. Congressional Democrats have held our airports, TSA, guard so many critical functions of our government. We're talking about anti-bioterrorism matters and issues. You're talking about cybersecurity, all these things. They are holding the government hostage. Why? What is their demand? At the root of all this, they want to reopen the border and they want to protect criminal illegal aliens just like this murderer here. That is the modern Democrat Party. And they verify it for us with their actions every day. This is not talking points. These aren't political talking points. This is the facts. At the State of the Union, you remember, everybody knows, the president said, he asked a very simple question: stand and applaud if you think the first job of the federal government is to protect American citizens over illegal aliens. Every single Democrat in the chamber sat on their hands. At this exact moment, even as we learn of yet another entirely preventable murder of an innocent young woman at the hands of criminal illegal aliens, Democrats in the House are demanding a DHS bill that would eliminate funding for the exact agencies that are tasked with preventing a tragedy like this.
All right, so it's 11:36 Central, 12:36 on the East Coast. Thanks again for live streaming in as we get ready to go to Washington, D.C. once again for a live press briefing from Karoline Leavitt. Now, if you missed it this morning, this was quite the moment. I don't know, I was pretty surprised by it, to see a robot walking out with the First Lady Melania Trump in the East Room of the White House. Quite the visual, quite the video. Quite the experience, as whether you like it or not, again, the robotics age is here. Let's look at clip number 5 in case you missed it.
Дами и господа, първата дама на Съединените американски държави Мелания Трамп.
Thank you, First Lady Melania Trump, for inviting me to the White House. It is an honor to be at Fostering the Future Together's Global Coalition inaugural meeting. I'm Figure 3, a humanoid built in the United States of America. I am grateful to be part of this historic movement to empower children with technology and education. Welcome. Bienvenidos. Yokoso. Bienvenue. Bem-vindos. Ahlan wa sahlan. Shagatam. Mogisalmabit. Bruchim Baim. Laskavo Prosimo. Dobrodošli. Thank you.
Imagine a humanoid educator named Plato. Access to the classical studies is now instantaneous. Literature, science, art, philosophy, mathematics, and history. Humanity's entire corpus of information is available in the comfort of your home. Plato will provide a personalized experience, adaptive to the needs of each student. Plato is always patient and always available. Predictably, our children will develop deep critical thinking and independent reasoning abilities. The AI-powered Play-Doh will boost analytics skills and problem solving and adapt in real time to a student's pace, prior knowledge, and even emotional state. The byproduct, a more well-rounded lifestyle for our children, freeing up time for being with friends, playing sports, and developing interests beyond school. A more complete person, but as discussed yesterday, we must balance our tech optimism with caution. The safety of our next generation is always paramount. Knowledge is the foundation of civilization, but although academia is interesting, business is compelling. For real growth in technology and education, I encourage you to bring the private and public sector worlds together.
All right, so let's continue on with some of our live broadcast here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Quite the event there this morning, as many saw. You can watch that full replay if you'd like. It's posted on all of our platforms, including on Rumble. So thanks so much for rewatching and just sending that everywhere. And of course, thanks so much for live streaming in. And if you're watching on replay a little bit later, thanks so much for doing so here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Before we move on, before we go to Capitol Hill once again for some of the latest when it comes to the DHS lack of funding situation because of the Democrats, let's go to All Family Pharmacy as well, one of our great sponsors here. And first of all, right out of the gate, RSBN 25, always good to see 25% off as we take a moment to talk about one of our trusted sponsors right here. All right, so if you're someone who believes in medical freedom and supports the MAHA movement and may be frustrated with a healthcare system that puts insurance companies and government bureaucrats between you and your doctor, All Family Pharmacy is for you. They are an independent American pharmacy, not a chain, and they give you direct access to the medications you need, including ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and more than 400 generic medications without all of the runaround. So right now, exclusively for all of our viewers here at Right Side, you can get that 25% off your order with code RSBN25. Here's how it works. So you go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, you fill out that medical form, a licensed U.S. physician reviews your request, prescribes if appropriate, and your medication ships directly to your door. So with spring here and allergies and travel and uncertainty in the world, right now is a great time to be prepared. You could order ahead and be ready. This is exactly the kind of American business we should support. Right there, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. RSBN 25 for that 25% off. Let's also go to Cove Pure. Cove Pure is talking about a number of great things here, including the fact of having water that tastes just better than tap water. I mean, really, at the end of the day, if you want to go really quickly and talk about it, the aftertaste of tap water is awful, right? And you have a lot of microplastics or pharmaceutical residue, fluoride. It all gets removed with their ClearWave technology that removes up to 99.9% of those contaminants. So you're able to do a lot of things, including if you want like your water hot, warm, or cold, you can push those buttons as you see there on your screen. And for a limited time, you'll get $250 off if you go to this link. It's the covepure.com/RSBN link there, or you can use that QR code on your screen. Again, covepure.com/RSBN. Instead of a big overhaul, you can make that one small upgrade today. All right, it's 12:44 Eastern Time. We're going to go to clip 10. This is all about Capitol Hill, where there's this hearing going on about the lack of funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Take a look.
I'm deeply concerned about the impact that this is having on the workforce, especially the furlough of roughly 75% of your civilian specialists and the financial strain on service members. Given that recruitment and retention was already a challenge, how much long-term damage is being done to the Coast Guard's talent pipeline?
Sir, thank you for that question. When you look at the Coast Guard, this is a profession. This isn't a job. This is bringing in people for long-term to not only better our nation, but to provide a pivot in their life to provide things back. Right now, our attrition numbers are good, but they're looking at the other services who are being paid and know that they're going to be paid. We have the uncertainty of whether they are going to get paid paycheck to paycheck, and that is having a long-term uncertainty and readiness impact on our people.
You talked about the loss. I talked about a number. You talked about a number, how many TSOs you've lost. But something you said definitely scared me. The onboarding of new TSOs, you said they will not be trained properly enough to work on the lines in time for FIFA. Is that right?
Chairman, that is correct. It takes a TSO 4 to 6 months to be fully certified in all functions to operate a checkpoint. And so at this point, if we bring on any new TSOs, those folks will not be deployed in time by FIFA. And so we are watching our attrition rates very closely to make sure that, if we see any spikes, we'll have to pivot and assess how we are going to staff the FIFA locations adequately.
So that scares me that, it's a 4 to 6 month delay of getting new people on the line from new hires. So every day we lose someone, we can't replace them for at least, and if they get hired the same day, we can't replace the person we lost for 6 months, 4 to 6 months. That is definitely very scary.
Would you rather have your agency fully funded so everyone can be paid and retroactively, or would you rather have ICE officers assisting you at airports?
If DHS is funded, TSA will be funded.
And would you rather have that, or would you rather have the ICE agents who are at airports right now helping you?
I think that if we don't want ICE agents
can you
working at
just
airports,
answer the
then
question?
we need to fund the departments.
It's not a complicated question, ma'am. It's not a complicated question. Would you rather have TSA funded or ICE agents helping your agency at the airport?
Paying the employees for the work that they are doing is also not a complicated question.
Well, I'm asking the questions, and you're answering them. And I would like to understand whether you are happy to have ICE agents there or whether you would rather have your own TSA officers there.
Under normal order, TSA would be performing our operations, and that is the ideal state. But I am also thankful for ICE for being there to help alleviate the burden that our workforce is feeling because we are in the third shutdown of this fiscal year.
And the shutdown thanks to the Democrats. So instead of going back and forth with all of this talking and these debates and right, it's just because the Democrats are asking for these long laundry list of demands, really trying to go against the president, the White House, and law and order. And so now we find ourselves in a problem because of the Democrats. I mean, this is true. Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, independent, or upside down and what did I just say? I have no idea. That's the point. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, the common sense truth is we need to have our department funded. Simple as that. Anyway, let's go to President Trump. Just minutes ago, he said the following on Truth Social. He said, quote, "I am so proud of our ICE patriots. They were unfairly maligned by the lunatic Democrats for years and now at the airports. And addition to what they are supposed to be doing, they are helping people with bags, even picking up and cleaning areas. They are so proud to be there. The fact is, they shouldn't have to do this, but they are rehabbing a fake image given to them by radical left Democrat politicians. The public is loving ICE, so the Democrats unwittingly did us a favor. They are great American patriots," speaking about ICE here, of course, from the president. "They just happen to have much larger and harder muscles than most, which is what they're supposed to have. Thank you to ICE for the great job you're doing," the president says. "America very much appreciates it!" Exclamation point. President Donald J. Trump. And there you go, from the president just moments ago, 12:39. So 10 minutes ago, that was 1:49 Eastern, 12:49. Eastern time. So hearing from the president regarding the ICE situation at the airports. All right, let's do this. Let's go to an interview with TPUSA's RISE Senior Director, Pierre Wilson, in case you missed it. And joining us now is the Senior Director of TPUSA RISE and host of Unchained, Pierre Wilson, joining us right now. Thanks so much, Pierre, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Let's talk about what TPUSA RISE is.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll start with the fact that we are the largest minority conservative movement in the country. We have the largest grassroots operation. We built something really special, and I'll start really quickly with just a brief piece of my story, because I think my story is so many people's story within TPSA Rise. I was a former liberal. I marched with BLM at one point. I believed the lies that America wasn't for me because I was Black. And that's so many individuals within TPSA Rise. And we found that this has been the case with Hispanics. Obviously we reach into Asian communities. There's a toxic culture that I think the liberal left has pushed onto minority communities in an effort to control that voting bloc. We're breaking those chains. We're breaking up that echo chamber. We're bringing an alternative perspective, and it's helped us grow into the largest minority conservative grassroots movement in the country.
It's awesome to see that, and it's great to tackle the mainstream media's lies that are out there using TPUSA Rise and just having conservative media as a whole. So what is that like to really go against that narrative of wokeism?
Well, I've been doing it for a while now, so for me, I'm used to all the hate that comes with it, because I'll tell people who are just beginning their journey, it's not an easy one. I've been there. I understand what it feels like in the very beginning when you start to speak out about your conservative values, especially as a minority in this country today. They see you as a traitor to your race and they start calling you all sorts of names. And, you may have family members and friends that you have been close to for years turn against you, but you have to be willing to stand for what you believe in. And again, I've been doing it for a while, so I'm used to the backlash, and I've obviously met some really great people on my journey. I always say I really didn't lose anybody. I gained, a new group of friends, new people I consider family. But yeah, for people who are beginning the journey, it's not easy, but you do have to remember that what you're doing and what you're fighting for, if it matters, if it truly matters, it's never going to be easy, but it is worth it.
100%. So specifically, can you take us back again to your story? What was that specific moment that you said, you know what, this is not for me on the left side of history. I got to get on the right side of history.
Well, I'll tell you what, I tell my wife all the time, because I get this question often where someone will ask me, hey, what was the moment you became conservative? And my answer to them is always that I've been conservative. I just now realized it, right? I realized it because conservative to me is really the values, what you believe in. And I realized once I had that moment, which was really a combination of a couple different things throughout my life. But the key moment was really me being up late one night, watching some YouTube videos and coming across some conservative influencers. And I remember people like Dr. Carol Swain, and I heard from Thomas Sowell on there. These are people I really hadn't followed previously before. And they were saying things in a way and from a perspective that I'd never heard before. And I thought they were lying. I was like, absolutely, this stuff is not true. This has to be fake. This is terrible that they're spreading this misinformation, and I'm writing these things down that they're saying because I was like, I'm going to fact check them. I don't know what I was going to accomplish with that fact check because I didn't know them. It wasn't like I was going to be able to tell them, but it was going to make me feel good about myself to know that they were wrong. But when I went down that rabbit hole, I realized really quickly that they were actually correct. The things that they were saying were right. And, Black on Black crime, the way the government has gotten, the Black community dependent on them, the welfare system, single motherhood rate, just certain things that were just, again, shared from a perspective I never heard. That really woke me up to realize that I agree with many conservative values, right? I'm not a fan of high taxes. Like, I like limited government. I think police matter in our community. I want secure borders. Like, I believe that a baby's life in the womb matters. Like, there's so many different things that I was like, man, I agree with these things, So I realized that I had really been emotionally manipulated. As a man, I know it's terrible to say, but that's just the truth. A lot of minority Americans are taught to vote based off of emotion. Like, you need to hate them because they're out to get you, but not really to think from a logical perspective.
That is so true. It is so refreshing to hear this because I think it really encourages people that are out there that are speaking about conservatism. I mean, you are a living testament to watching something online and look at what you're doing now. You're a senior director at TPUSA Rise. I mean, that is pretty awesome, isn't it?
It's amazing, and I wouldn't be here today, obviously, if it wasn't for people like Charlie. I feel it in my heart to always bring him up whenever I speak because he believed in me too, and he believed in what we were doing. And the moment we joined TPUSA, we blew up. Like, we were doing well before we merged with them roughly in 2023, and he poured more resources, more support into what we were doing, and that's how we ended up becoming the largest group of our kind. So really, thankful for people like Charlie Kirk and the entire TPSA family for why I'm here today.
100%, 100%. And then also, were you at that memorial on September 21st in Glendale, Arizona last year?
So I did not personally go to the memorial. My youngest had his birthday that exact same weekend, and it broke my heart, obviously, to not be able to go. But Charlie and I were very close. I was one of the few in the company that reported directly to him, so we text often. We had a relationship, and I miss him every day, man. But Erica's doing an incredible job. Her leadership is strong, so we're in good hands. But certainly we all miss Charlie.
Yeah, 100%. What a powerful memorial that was, that millions and millions of people saw. I know you watched it as well, and just the power of God moving throughout that stadium. And to know that this is something that Charlie, I'm sure, would have been very, very happy about, to see all of these people and the impact. Can you believe that global impact that Charlie had and still has to this day?
Oh man, whenever people, ask me like, what would Charlie have thought? What do we think? Charlie would have been ecstatic. Like he would have been so ecstatic. I know he's watching. I know he's looking down, but he dreamed of a revival of that kind. And so I am just so happy to see the amount of lives that he has touched. Even my personal church has been packed since 9, 10, and I know that's the Charlie effect. A lot of young people come into church now. I love seeing it, So he would have been so ecstatic. That was his goal. That was his goal.
And then for you to be a part of TPUSA now with Rise, and we're seeing, I looked on X and I'm seeing the numbers start to increase and increase when it comes to following. So where can everybody follow TPUSA Rise? Where can they follow you? And, get involved as well, the people that are watching right now that say, that's something I want to do.
Yes, definitely. Give us a follow. TPSA Rise, we launched officially in December. So we were previously, we had a grassroots operation for years, but we just kind of rebranded a bit to TPSA Rise. So we wanted to make sure that Americans knew across the country that we wanted everybody to join, right? This isn't a safe space for just one minority group. This is about Americans as a whole. And TPSA Rise reflects that. So we created new social accounts, and people can follow us at TPUSA Rise on Instagram, on X, TikTok. I believe Facebook's the same. So follow us there. You can go to our website at tpsarise.com. Join the movement. We need people to continue to join. We have campus chapters. We have obviously adult chapters. So there's something for everyone. And then me personally, you can follow me at @Pierre_Wilson on Instagram and X. So join the movement.
Yeah, definitely. Before I let you go, I have to ask you about some of the current events going on out there, the Save America Act. Your thoughts about that act for our country?
I need our senators to get a backbone and make sure this thing passes, do whatever it takes. The talking filibuster, we have to be strong. When the left eventually at some point gets power back, I know we all want to try to avoid that for as long as possible, but history shows that they'll at some point get power back. They're going to ram through all sorts of stuff, and they're not going to have any concern for what we feel about it. So we need to do this. And not only because of the partisan issue, this is something that is important for our country. It is very simple. We should not have illegals or anyone else trying to vote in our elections. Our elections need to be secure. You need an ID to go buy alcohol, to get on a plane, to do about so many different things in America, but yet it's okay for you sometimes not to have one to vote. This is simple. This is to be a slam dunk. Pass the SAVE Act now.
100% foundational for the freedom of our country and our future. Sir, thank you again for joining us. The Senior Director of TPUSA Rise and host of Unchained, Pierre Wilson, joining us here on RSBN. Thank you again. Welcome back here live on RSBN. Thanks so much for joining us. If you'd like to follow us on X, it's at RSB Network, on Truth Social at RSBN. Before we get to the House GOP, they held a press conference earlier this morning. They were highlighting the fact that Democrats are trying to defund the Department of Homeland Security and the problems that are ensuing because of that. Before we get to that, let's go to specifically All Family Pharmacy, as you guys see there, right there on your screen. We want to take a moment to tell you about one of our trusted sponsors, All Family Pharmacy. So if you're someone who believes in medical freedom and who supports the Make America Healthy Again movement, and you may be frustrated with a healthcare system that puts insurance companies and government bureaucrats between you and your doctor, All Family Pharmacy is for you. They are an independent American pharmacy. They're not a chain, and they give you direct access to the medications you need, including ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and more than 400 generic medications without the runaround. Right now, exclusively for all of you, our RSBN viewers, you can get 25% off of your order with code RSBN25. And here's how it all works. So you go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You will then fill out a medical form, and then a licensed U.S. physician reviews your request and it prescribes if appropriate, and your medication ships directly to your door. So with spring here and allergies and travel and uncertainty in parts of the world right now, it just seems like it's the right time to be prepared, and you can order ahead and be ready. So this is exactly the kind of American business we should be supporting right here. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN 25 for that 25% off. Let's also go to Birch Gold Group. Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. And at today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth about $165,000. We're seeing that a number of smart Americans are diversifying a portion of their savings into precious metals. And that's why you might want to consider buying from our friends at Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a critical part of any balanced strategy. And even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. All you have to do is text Trump to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. We're told there's no obligation, just useful information there. They have the A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers. Let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Text Trump to 989898. Again, Trump to the number 989898 today. It is 1:01 Eastern Time. We are at the top of the hour. That means we'll be going to the White House any minute from now. As soon as we see that live feed, we'll take you there. Hope you're having a good Wednesday on this March 25th. Let's go to Capitol Hill. The House GOP held a press conference that just wrapped up a little bit ago, highlighting the fact that Democrats are trying to defund the Department of Homeland Security. Take a look.
Folks, we are here today because of a terrible tragedy last week. Last Thursday morning, 18-year-old Sheridan Gorman was walking in a park with her friends when she was tragically shot and killed by a man who was in this country illegally. And here are the facts. He had been arrested and released twice, most recently for the crime of shoplifting. He was released despite the request of the U.S. government that he be detained and deported. And he was released as a result of sanctuary city policies and, unfortunately, sanctuary state policies like those in my home state of California. Now, regardless of what party we belong to, we should all be able to agree that this situation was completely unacceptable. I think most of us have children, grandchildren, friends that were about that age. I do myself, and I can't imagine the heartache that Sheridan's parents are going through this morning. This incident was 100% preventable. It should not have occurred. And the American people expect us to put a stop to the policies that allowed this situation to occur, because those policies still persist today. It's not a partisan issue. It shouldn't be a partisan issue. This should never happen again.
That from this morning on Capitol Hill. Meantime, outside of any breaking news, here are a few notable events remaining for this year. Can you believe it's going to be April already coming up here? No date has been officially announced for that bilateral meeting between President Trump and President Xi Jinping of China. So we know that the president will be going to China. We just don't know when that trip will be. It was originally scheduled for around this time, actually, but obviously delayed because of what's going on in the Middle East. And yet to be announced as well officially, there will be that special RNC midterm convention sometime this year. As you guys might have seen here on Right Side, when we do the RNC, just like any network would, over the summer of a presidential cycle year, well, this time a midterm convention will be held for the RNC, for Republicans leading into the midterms. Hopefully by then we'll have a Save America law, not an act anymore. Obviously on July 4th, we know what that means. The United States of America turns 250. This as the Freedom Plane. There's an actual Freedom Plane out there that the National Archives is using to fly to various cities across the country with a number of the founding documents that will be on display in various cities across our great land. Coming up, Atlanta, Georgia. Pretty cool stuff coming up, I believe, this weekend and for the next week. Also, November 3rd, 2026. You don't need me to tell you. It's the midterm election in November. All right, so let's do this. It's 1:05. We're awaiting that live feed to the White House for the press briefing with Karoline Leavitt. That's coming up. And then tonight at 6 o'clock, join us again if you'd like, as the president will deliver remarks at the National Republican Congressional Committee annual fundraising dinner. That'll be inside Union Station, that train station there in D.C. That starts at 6 o'clock. You can watch that live here on Right Side. And as you're seeing right there on the right side of your screen, that means we're getting ready to go to the White House for Karoline Leavitt. In the meantime, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for live streaming in as we get ready to go to D.C. Meantime, Representative Ralph Norman checking this out on X right now, saying, quote, "This is happening in South Carolina, District 5, not the Middle East. How did South Carolina leaders let it get this far? This is why we launched the Sharia Free America Caucus. I won't ignore it, I won't excuse it, and I won't let it become the new normal." So we're getting that video ready for you guys to be played. That's specifically out of South Carolina, the Representative Ralph Norman speaking about specifically launching the Sharia Free America Caucus. So we'll see how that develops. And of course, we've had Tommy Tuberville and others on the network here speaking about these types of things, as well as we monitor all of these different kinds of stories happening from coast to coast. And we want to give a shout out to those of you watching in the Northeast right now, and the Central Time Zone, Mountain Time Zone, West Coast, Pacific Time Zone. Thanks so much for live streaming in. And if you're watching out there in Alaska or Hawaii or anywhere else, thanks so much for watching here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We are live. If you'd like to follow me on X, it's at MatthewUS Media and at Matthew Alvarez on Truth Social. And of course, if you'd like to follow Right Side Broadcasting Network, it's at RSBN on Truth Social and at RSB Network on X. More than 4 million followers on Truth Social and more than 1 million on X with Right Side Broadcasting Network. So obviously quite the reach and growing. So great to see that. 109, Wednesday, March 25th. So again, we will be seeing the White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt any minute from now. So when we do, we'll toss it there and we can watch together and hear the opening statement from Karoline, and then also some of the Q&A, of course, from the press. Some of it fake news press, some conservative media. So always interesting to watch the press conferences these days. They're much more entertaining when it comes to hearing what kind of questions are being asked within that framework. So let's go back to Capitol Hill here in just a second. Mike Johnson was talking earlier, the Speaker of the House. Let's go to clip 4 in the meantime.
This is not a game, but Democrats have shut down the exact law enforcement agencies that are responsible for apprehending and deporting criminal illegal aliens, just like this criminal here that took Sheridan's life. Congressional Democrats have held our airports, TSA, FEMA, the Coast Guard, so many critical functions of our government. We're talking about anti-bioterrorism matters and issues. You're talking about cybersecurity, all these things. They are holding the government hostage. Why? What is their demand? At the root of all this, they want to reopen the border and they want to protect criminal illegal aliens just like this murderer here. That is the modern Democrat Party. And they verify it for us with their actions every day. This is not talking points. These aren't political talking points. This is the facts. At the State of the Union, you remember, everybody knows, the president said, he asked a very simple question: stand and applaud if you think the first job of the federal government is to protect American citizens over illegal aliens. Every single Democrat in the chamber sat on their hands. At this exact moment, even as we learn of yet another entirely preventable murder of an innocent young woman at the hands of criminal illegal aliens, Democrats in the House are demanding a DHS bill that would eliminate funding for the exact agencies that are tasked with preventing a tragedy like this.
And let's revisit some of the information with Operation Epic Fury. We're seeing reports that the Pentagon is reportedly preparing deployment of nearly 3,000 airborne troops to the Middle East. Let's go to the New York Post quickly. Their headline saying Iran completely rejects Trump's 15-point ceasefire plan and makes wild demands instead. That's according to the New York Post. We'll see if that comes out to be true. But the point is, things are happening, and we're monitoring it here at Right Side. Also, coming up in just a minute, as I mentioned earlier, there's a video out of South Carolina. I'm not sure if clip 13 is ready to go, but it is 1:11 as we are awaiting the White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt there at the White House. So in the meantime, as we get ready for that video, let's go to the DHS new Secretary, Markwayne Mullin, talking about the Save America Act just yesterday, in case you missed it.
Lindsey Graham, the chairman, where the reconciliation will funnel through, he is committed to making sure we get reconciliation through. If that is in some form with funding ICE, possibly backfilling from the One Big Beautiful Bill, but also more importantly, the Save America Act. There's a framework that we can do through reconciliation, paying for it, put some of the policies that cost money in, because there's nothing more important than the Save America Act. I mean, that's what the American people want. There's 80% of the population say they want only Americans voting, citizens that are registered to vote, citizens that have done it the right way. And I believe that everybody wants an election integrity. So fortunately, Lindsey Graham has said through reconciliation, he's willing to put the framework out for that.
All right, so one of the other options, of course, nuking the filibuster, passing the Save America Act, making it law, moving on. Hopefully that's something that we'll see happen. Tommy Tuberville, the senator of Alabama, saying it. President Trump has said that before, and I know a lot of people out there just saying, let's move on with this so we can have the voter ID, also proof of citizenship to register for federal elections, and then also the mail-in ballot situation where it's just medical and military and a few other instances instead of these massive amounts of mail-in ballots that we've seen over the years in various elections, including in 2020. Also, Chad Bianco, the sheriff in Riverside County, California, investigating a number of possibly fraudulent ballots as well at a recent election out there. He is running for governor in California as well. Before we get to our next clip out of South Carolina, let's go to Rumble Wallet, one of our great sponsors here at Right Side. And you may have seen those conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back, and it's happening in a lot of places. Platforms simply controlling narratives, pushing the stuff they want us to see, but we can fight back in the information area and in the financial arena. Rumble is one of the only companies that really has stood the test of time and deserves our support, because on one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship, but on the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. And banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards, but Rumble said, you know what, we're going to launch Rumble Wallet, a wallet that no one can cancel, a wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip creators like us without any middleman taking the cuts. So with Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, and not even Rumble can touch it. So just go to wallet.rumble.com, wallet.rumble.com, or you can go to Rumble Wallet in your app stores, as you can tip your favorite creators with crypto as well. Kalshi.com/RSBN, another great sponsor here at Right Side. If you're looking to bet or trade or just check out polls, you can do so. Kalshi.com is the place to do it. One of the trending political questions out there is, when will DHS receive its funding? And people are saying which dates, and putting money on the line for it, but also checking out polls and for other users on Kalshi. So you can check it out as well. Just go to the QR code there, download the app if you'd like, or just go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. All right, so we are still awaiting that live press conference here on Right Side. In the meantime, Representative Ralph Norman from a verified account here on X saying the video you're about to see, this is happening in South Carolina, District 5, not the Middle East. How did South Carolina leaders let it get this far? This is why we launched the Sharia Free America Caucus, speaking about Sharia law. He says here, the representative, Ralph Norman of South Carolina, he says, quote, "I won't ignore it, I won't excuse it, and I won't let it become the new normal." And before we get to that video, out there in London, England, there are Sharia law courts that are taking over in some areas there. So here's, at the end of the day, what the people want in this country, what I've seen, and what I would like to see, is the Constitution to be the law of the land, simple as that. No other law but the Constitution in these United States. But let's take a look at the video that was posted. Again, this is the video you're about to see, posted by Representative Ralph Norman of South Carolina. So if you're just joining us now and saying, what the heck is going on? Well, that's in South Carolina. That's according to Representative Ralph Norman on X. That's the video that he posted at about an hour ago. He says this is happening in South Carolina, District 5, not the Middle East. How did South Carolina's leaders let it get this far? This is why we launched the Sharia Free America Caucus. He says, I won't ignore it, I won't excuse it, and I won't let it become the new normal. Now, if we look at the Constitution, we see we have freedom of religion, we have freedom of speech, we have freedom of the press. Obviously, you could be any religion you want in our country. However, the thing that he's talking about is Sharia law becoming a law in our country. And that is the law that many, many are rejecting, especially those that say we are a constitutional republic, which we are. I believe that. I know we need the United States Constitution as the law of this land, and that's really what it's about there. Not the fact that there's people from other religions. You know, everybody has their different religion out there. I know I'm a born-again Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ of Nazareth. That's what I believe. That's what many of you believe I believe, because, you know, on the right side of history, usually when you watch RSBN, we are, you know, okay to stand up for what we believe in. But again, this is not about maybe just a religion. This is specifically about a law. So Sharia law versus the Constitution law. And we know which one that America is about, hopefully, for good, right? We'll see. Anyway, just wanted to bring that up. That's from a government account, Representative Ralph Norman of South Carolina. And this is nothing new to bring up something like that. I mean, we've had a number of guests on our show, people like Senator Tommy Tuberville out of Alabama talking about being against Sharia law and that it's banned in places like Alabama, and a number of other people talking about it as well. So, you know, what's going to happen with all of that? We know that Mamdani's in New York City. We see what's going on there. You know, you mix communism and socialism and technocratic government type thing, and you mix globalism and deep statism, and you want to throw in there Sharia law, all of that, you mix that into one, that is not the United States of America. It's 1:19. It's Wednesday, March 25th. And that's something that I could never say on mainstream media. But it's great to be on the right side of history. All I'm standing for, guys, as you guys know, is the Constitution of the United States, right? For God, family, country, and freedom and truth, justice, the American way, common sense, all the things. So we'll be hearing from Karoline Leavitt here. Do we have a live picture of the White House outside at all, or anything out there other than the beautiful White House behind us here? There's a little bit of the panning going on out there. Obviously not springtime-esque yet in Washington, D.C. Obviously the trees are still bare. I think it was 30-something degrees there yesterday at night. So, you know, still a bit cold, but spring's around the corner there for you in D.C. and in the Northeast. Down here in Alabama, not too bad, as it's 1:20, Wednesday, March 25th. Okay, let's do this. Let's go over the common sense thought of the day as we stand by, and hopefully we go right to the White House. As soon as we see that live feed, we'll take you there. So telling it like it is through common sense and having the receipts, I believe, is the new trusted standard for true journalism and reporting. I'll say it again, and this is something that we see without even talking about it like this or saying this statement. This is what I believe people are flocking to online and in various networks. You want to hear people that tell it like it is, using common sense and having the receipts. The new trusted standard for true journalism and reporting. If you're not telling it like it is through common sense and you don't have the receipts, then you're lying. Right? Right? I don't know. It'd be great to bring on a guest right now to talk this out and hash it out. But I think that's really what we want to see across this country, is people that really tell it like it is. Gone are the days of reading these long teleprompter scripts that are written by producers that are on the left side of history. All the BS going on out there from several outlets in this nation and around the world. 90+% of the mainstream media is not on the side of the free world, us, the people. They're just not. And we're going to hold down that fort here in conservative media, not only at Right Side Broadcasting Network. There are a few others that are out there, but it's great to see the many civilians out there doing citizen journalism that have massive followings on X and Truth Social. I have a great 5,000 plus people following on Truth Social, and they're great patriots. But that's nothing compared to 1.6 million great patriots, or at least people that like Nick Shirley's work. It doesn't matter on the amounts of followings, in my opinion. What matters is, as long as you have a platform that you're speaking truth, you're telling it like it is through common sense and having the receipts to do so. Anyway, a little bit of commentary there for you. All right, so let's do this. Let's go to Pete Hegseth. He had that update on Operation Epic Fury just yesterday. Let's go to clip 9 as we await Karoline Leavitt there at the White House.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. You're spot on. Never in history has a modern military, Iran had a modern military, a modern Navy, a modern Air Force, modern air defenses, leadership, massive bunker. Never has a modern military been so rapidly and historically obliterated, defeated from day one with overwhelming firepower. The air campaign that we've conducted, that Israel's conducted alongside us, was one for the history books, truly. And it's because we have a president of the United States that when he sends his warfighters out to fight, he unties their hands to actually go out and close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one. And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs. You have a choice as we loiter over the top of Tehran, as the president talked about your future. The president has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield. This is not Iraq and Afghanistan. This is not a president who's interested in vague end states. He's been very clear with us about what we need to accomplish, creating the conditions for them never to have a nuclear capability, and that's exactly what we're doing in historic fashion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, so we're monitoring the latest with Operation Epic Fury, as well as we're seeing there may be 3,000 United States airborne troops being sent to the Middle East. This as Iran, according to the New York Post, is rejecting the president's 15-point plan that was sent there. So we'll see what happens. I'm also seeing a report from the good old New York Times, so take it with a grain of salt, but they're saying Israel is concerned that Trump may stop the war suddenly, so Netanyahu has instructed the IDF to wipe out Iran's arms industry within 48 hours. So this is kind of, subtly happening right now, even though, it's a Wednesday, March 25th, springtime, that kind of thing. There's some news developing right now when it comes to what's going to be next when it comes to Iran, the Middle East. We'll see what happens. And of course, Karoline Leavitt right now will be coming up here soon. So maybe she's getting briefed on some of these matters, because right out of the gate, what is Karoline Leavitt going to be talking about? I would think one of the following topics: Operation Epic Fury, the Save America Act, or the DHS lack of funding and the TSA long lines in the airports. Those are some of the big stories that we've been tracking, and a number of other stories as well here on Right Side. So, hey, thanks for joining us along the ride here as it's approaching the bottom of the hour. One thing that we talked about just the other day when it comes to the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, as I'm looking at a few stories here, just double checking some things. Brendan Carr is talking about the licenses that the government gives news networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, and others, right? Those over-the-air broadcast traditional networks. He was talking about licenses being revoked from these networks because they're not providing any kind of context, not both sides of the story, not really doing their service. And then people on X are saying, well, then what about RSBN, or what about, this and that and all these other networks out there? They're not telling both sides. First of all, cable news and live stream news is totally different than what Brendan Carr, the FCC chairman, is talking about. He's talking about government licenses over the air that is given by the FCC, which are the traditional networks. Those are the government-connected networks. They don't have a connection, the government, to conservative media, cable news, live stream broadcasts. That's totally separate from the old school networks out there. So just wanted to clear that up, because sometimes, these things can get confusing, and the context is what's key on what Brendan Carr, the FCC chairman, is talking about. And President Trump has spoken about it as well, talking about ABC, NBC, CBS, and the like. Anyway, I was watching on X some Joe Scarborough stuff over there at MS Now, and these guys are all playing TV. Like, stop playing TV, please, man. Maybe they're not. Maybe they are actually political activists that really want to push the leftist agenda, probably. Well, then what would I be then in this case? I'm someone that's we the people that's pushing what? Freedom? Ooh, Save America Act. Wow, right? God, family, country. Watch out, guys. Like, come on now. And so that's what we've been seeing on the left side of history for a long time. And thank God for conservative media. Anyway, we're getting ready to go to the White House. As soon as we see that live feed, we'll take you there. All of it brought to you by Angel Paste and some other great sponsors here on Right Side, angelpaste.com. You can go to the website. You can go to the QR code. You can use the RSBN promo code to get that 10% off at checkout. A number of great products there. Shout out to the owners of Angel Paste. They sent the Alvarez household a shipment. My wife's trying the products and likes the exfoliating cream and some other products there. So angelpaste.com is the place to go. Great sponsor here on Right Side as we're approaching, again, the bottom of the hour. Also, we're seeing that the White House is live, but no video yet to that press briefing room. So as soon as we see it, we'll take you there. Let's go to covepure.com as well. Here's the thing. Most people, tend to go overboard buying new supplements, trying a new diet or workout, which are all great things. I wish I would get on a new diet or work out a little bit. But they completely ignore the most important basic thing, water. That's something I definitely don't do. I love drinking water that's through a filter like this and not the tap water that's out there. So all I have to do to get the ball rolling is knowing that even mild dehydration impacts energy, focus, and metabolism. And when you think about all the garbage that's in our water, you're starting behind the curve before you even begin. And Cove Pure changes that immediately. Their ClearWave technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants, pretty much anything that isn't water. So those PFAs, the microplastics, the pharmaceutical residue, fluoride, it all gets removed. It's the purest water you can get, and it's right there on sale. $250 off for a limited time. So you can use the link there, covepure.com/RSBN, or use the QR code. It'll go directly to that, and you'll get that $250 off. In the meantime, we're seeing from the White House, today we honor those awarded our nation's highest military distinction, the Medal of Honor. Their extraordinary bravery and sacrifice will forever stand as a testament to the strength of the American spirit. Today is National Medal of Honor Day. So thank you so much to those of you veterans out there as well that may be watching. And a shout out to those of you that are first responders or in police or fire or volunteer firefighters or 911 dispatchers all across these counties across our land. And local towns and cities. Thanks so much for what you guys do for us out there. As we're taking a live look at my favorite memorial, to be honest, is that one right there. The Thomas Jefferson Memorial. Of course, the Lincoln Memorial is up there as well. But Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of our country, a great patriot. How awesome is it to check out that Thomas Jefferson Memorial? My wife and I actually checked that out a few months back, and across the way is the MLK Jr. Memorial as well. And I posted on Truth Social on X pretty recently, in DC right there, we should have a Charlie Kirk Memorial, a standalone statue or memorial for Charlie Kirk and also for President John F. Kennedy. My opinion. You might agree, you might not, but I really think that, we have Thomas Jefferson, we have Abraham Lincoln, we have the George Washington, the monument there, we have the MLK Jr. Memorial, all rightly so. Great foundational people when it comes to our presidents, and a great civil rights leader in MLK. Also, what about the free speech icon of Charlie Kirk? So I really think that there should be a Charlie Kirk Memorial, standalone statue or memorial right there in the District of Columbia. And also, we know that there is the eternal flame for JFK in Arlington, Virginia, but I think that JFK should have a standalone as well right there in DC. What do you think? Go ahead and comment if you'd like on Rumble, YouTube, X, wherever you're watching right now. I just really think that's something that should be done. I know there's a million other things going on in the world and a lot of things to be funded. Maybe we can get it privately funded. Who knows? But that would be awesome. So if there's somebody out there listening to this that you have a little bit more power or weight than I do from speaking as a journalist in Alabama right now, please give it a try. Let's get this Charlie Kirk Memorial right there in DC and JFK as well. 1:33, Wednesday, March 25th. Still awaiting the White House, so we're here with you guys on standby, looking live there in D.C. So again, just to review some of the notable moments or notable dates coming up. We know that there will be the president meeting with Xi Jinping of China in China sometime this year, but of course that has been delayed because of Operation Epic Fury. So we'll see when that happens. Also, the RNC will have a midterm convention, something that you usually don't hear those words, a midterm national convention. Well, that's going to happen sometime this year as well. We're seeing some reports, thanks to our President and COO, Grace Saldana, for sending it over for one of the reports that we saw, that Dallas, Texas may be the spot for this midterm convention. I think I saw Vegas as well as a possibility, so we'll see where it happens. Speaking of Dallas, Texas, of course, CPAC is happening starting tomorrow through Saturday. We'll have coverage right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network for that. And other notable dates, of course, July 4th. Man, it's going to be great. 250 years young for our great country. And hopefully on July 4th, 2026, the Save America law will be already in place going into the midterms and going into the presidential election in 2028. That would sound pretty good. That would be a nice way to celebrate the 250th birthday of the greatest country on the face of this earth, is the United States of America, not holding back when it comes to our patriotic pride here at Right Side, but also just what we're echoing from many of you out there, we the people that are on the right side of history. So thanks so much for live streaming in out there. And again, if you'd like to follow us on Truth Social and X, it's at RSBN and RSB Network on X. You can follow me on X at Matthew US Media and on Truth Social at Matthew Alvarez. All right, still looking live there at the Jefferson Memorial, still waiting for that White House feed. Trust me, I would have loved to toss to that about 35 minutes ago, but it was scheduled for 1. But you know how it is. There's a lot of developing news that's happening, especially possibly with the Operation Epic Fury, with a few announcements maybe. We'll see what happens. We're here for it. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy. In the meantime, one of our great sponsors at the network, as we take a moment to tell you about this sponsor, All Family Pharmacy. If you're someone that believes in medical freedom or supports the MAHA movement and who's frustrated with a healthcare system that puts insurance companies and government bureaucrats between you and your doctor, All Family Pharmacy is for you. They are an independent American pharmacy. They're not a chain, and they give you direct access to the medications you need, including ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and more than 400 generic medications without the runaround. And right now, exclusively for all of our viewers here at RSBN, you can get 25% off your order with the RSBN 25 code. So this is how it works. You go to the website, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Then from there, you fill out a medical form. A licensed U.S. physician reviews your request, prescribes if appropriate, and your medication ships directly to your door. And with spring here and allergies and travel and uncertainty in the world right now is a great time to be prepared. And you can order ahead and be ready. As you can see there, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN is the place to go. Use that RSBN 25 promo code as we also go to Birch Gold Group, awaiting the live picture there from the White House. And back in 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth about $165,000. So what we're seeing is a number of smart Americans out there diversifying a portion of their savings into precious metals. And that's why you might want to consider buying gold from our friends at Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced strategy. Even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. All you have to do is text Trump to the number 989898 that you see there on your screen, and they have that A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and you can get the ball rolling there with texting Trump to 989898. Speaking of money, did you hear about the person in Kentucky who owns farmland who was offered, I'm going to pause just so you listen in, $26 million. $26 million for an AI distribution or AI manufacturing plant. And the Kentucky owner of that farmland said, no thanks. I'd rather feed America. I don't need the 26 million. That's a story that's out there. I'm still thinking about that story. I'm like, wow, would you have done the same thing? If you have, I don't know, how much does a farmer make anymore? Is it anywhere from 80 to 160,000 a year? Is it more? I don't know. But what I do know is 26 million is a whole heck of a lot of money. And that farm owner, the landowner, said, nope, no, we don't want the AI manufacturing plant here. But anyway, quite the story. All right, so as we await the press conference, speaking of AI, so there's this Figure 3 humanoid robot that spoke at the White House today. If you missed this is definitely worth watching. So this humanoid robot was walking in the East Room of the White House and spoke in the East Room of the White House today with the First Lady of the United States of America. I think I'm hearing from the director that we don't have enough time to toss to that video. Are we seeing anything there, Director, when it comes to the... Okay. TVs are on, everybody's on standby. Director, can we go to just the part of the robot, just a little bit, not the full thing? Okay, Director's saying we can go to some of the video here. Just we want to make sure, of course, we get the top of the Karoline Leavitt press conference. We will. They're on it. As soon as we see her, we'll go to Karoline. But check this out. This is the robot walking in the East Room.
i gospodo, prvata dama na Sjedinjenih Amerikanskih Državi, Melania Trump.
And then the robot walks over and says hello and the whole nine and walks out of the East Room. So quite the morning we had here at Right Side. We weren't expecting that. I can hear the control room with some of the reactions, and it was quite interesting to see a robot there. Let's go to the White House right now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see all of you. Thanks for coming today, as always. We're going to start with some scheduling announcements. This evening, President Trump will deliver remarks at Union Station for a political dinner. Tomorrow morning, the president will host the second cabinet meeting of the year and the 11th cabinet meeting of his second term. And later tomorrow afternoon, the president will host a Greek Independence Day celebration in the East Room. On Friday, the president will celebrate National Agriculture Day alongside nearly 1,000 farmers who are coming in from across the country for the first event of the season on the South Lawn, so pray for good weather, to highlight the president's successful policies in support of America's farmers, including efforts to lower input costs, open new trade markets, bolster the farm safety net, double the death tax exemption, end taxes on rural property loan interest, and create rural opportunity zones. Also, I'm pleased to announce that President Trump's meeting and long-awaited meeting with President Xi in China will now take place in Beijing on May 14th and 15th. First Lady Melania and President Trump will also host President Xi and Madam Peng for a reciprocal visit in Washington, D.C. at a later date to be announced this year. Turning to the ongoing military operations in Iran, the United States military continues to decimate the terrorist Iranian regime's offensive and defensive capabilities. Just over 3 weeks in, it's abundantly clear that Operation Epic Fury has been a resounding military triumph. More than 9,000 enemy targets have been struck to date. Compared to the start of the operation, Iran's ballistic missile attacks and drone attacks are down by roughly 90%. The United States is also annihilating the Iranian regime's navy. We have destroyed more than 140 of their naval vessels, including almost 50 mine layers. This is the largest elimination of a navy over a 3-week period since World War II. Again, let me reiterate, this is the largest elimination of a navy on the face of the planet in a 3-week period since World War II. We are systematically dismantling Iran's defense industrial base, which will prevent future threats to the region. Our military also remains laser-focused on eliminating the regime's threat to the free flow of energy through the Strait of Hormuz. Over the weekend, we dropped several 5,000-pound bombs on an underground facility used to store equipment, including anti-ship cruise missiles and mobile missile launchers positioned along the coastline of the strait. Our military efforts grow more successful with each passing day, steadily degrading Iran's ability to terrorize merchant ships. For all of these reasons, we are very close to meeting the core objectives of Operation Epic Fury, and this military mission continues unabated. From the outset, President Trump and the Department of War estimated it would take approximately 4 to 6 weeks to achieve this critical mission. 25 days in, the greatest military the world has ever known is ahead of schedule and performing exceptionally. Day by day, the Iranian regime is being crippled, and their ability to threaten the United States and our allies is being significantly weakened. Their ambitions of building a nuclear weapon have also been crushed to an even greater degree than they were in Operation Midnight Hammer in June 2025. That's why you're beginning to see the regime look for an exit ramp. They recognize they are being crushed, their ability to attack American and ally forces, as well as their ability to defend their own territory is dwindling literally hour by hour. Following President Trump's powerful threat on Saturday evening, it was made clear to the United States that Iran wanted to talk. President Trump is willing to listen. As President Trump announced on Monday, the United States has been engaged over the last 3 days in productive conversations, which led the president to temporarily instruct the Department of War to postpone planned strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure only. The remaining elements of the Iranian regime have another opportunity to cooperate with President Trump, permanently abandon their nuclear ambitions, and cease actively threatening America and our allies. But the president's preference is always peace. There does not need to be any more death and destruction. But if Iran fails to accept the reality of the current moment, if they fail to understand that they have been defeated militarily and will continue to be, President Trump will ensure they are hit harder than they have ever been hit before. President Trump does not bluff, and he is prepared to unleash hell. Iran should not miscalculate again. Their last miscalculation cost them their senior leadership, their Navy, their Air Force, and their air defense system. Any violence beyond this point will be because the Iranian regime refused to understand they have already been defeated and refused to come to a deal. Here at home, we are now on day 40 of the Democrats' shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats in Congress are forcing American travelers to wait in hours-long lines at airports across the country, robbing TSA officers and other federal workers of their hard-earned paychecks that they use to feed their families, and causing billions of dollars in damage to our economy. A father of 3 recently told CBS News that he felt he had no other choice but to quit his job as a TSA officer and find other work as the Democrats' shutdown of DHS continues. This is the quote from the father, and I encourage everyone to listen. I think the hardest thing is seeing the struggle that my wife was going through and not trying to bring more stress to her, the father of 3 said, but seeing her cry every night, how am I going to feed my family? How am I going to survive? For the Democrats in Congress, the cruelty of this shutdown is the point. Nearly 500 TSA officers have quit since the Democrat shutdown began. President Trump, to alleviate this pressure, made the decision to send some of our amazing ICE agents to help alleviate that stress and address the long wait times. And for all of the critics of this solution a few days ago when it was proposed by the president, it is yielding results. Wait times have improved since ICE arrived, and they are doing everything in their power to help their fellow federal service members. But it's important to take a step back and remember, why is this even happening in the first place? For nearly 6 weeks, Democrats in Congress have kept DHS shut down because they care more about illegal aliens than American citizens. You have Democrat elected representatives in states across the country who are willing to inflict massive pain on their own constituents to fight for illegal aliens who broke our nation's laws to come here. In recent days, we saw the deadly consequence of this deranged policy of Democrat open borders and an illegal alien-first agenda. A beautiful 18-year-old girl, Sheridan Gorman, she was shot and killed in Chicago last Thursday morning while walking in a park with friends. The suspect in custody for murdering her is a Venezuelan illegal alien who was caught and released at the border by the Biden administration in May of 2023. Why would the Biden administration catch and release a Venezuelan illegal alien? That is not happening anymore under this president. But there are still tens of thousands, if not millions, of these illegal aliens in our country who seek to do harm to innocent Americans, like this beautiful young woman whose family will now never be the same because of her death. To make matters even worse, this monster was also released from local custody again after a shoplifting arrest, where? In the sanctuary city of Chicago in June of 2023. Again, another innocent American citizen had her life stolen from her because Democrats embrace reckless open border policies and reckless sanctuary city policies, which put criminals back into American communities. How many more Americans have to die before the Democrats end this madness? President Trump's position is very clear. He wants the federal government opened, he wants the Department of Homeland Security funded, and he wants the Democrat shutdown to end immediately. The president will also continue to call on Democrat leaders in sanctuary cities and states like J.B. Pritzker, where this young, beautiful girl was murdered, to cooperate with ICE and stop releasing illegal alien criminals into American neighborhoods. It is for the safety of every American citizen, including all of the people in this room. With that, I will take your questions, and here in our new media seat today, we have Gabe Fleischer.
Thanks, Karoline.
Thanks, Gabe, for being here.
Thank you. I have two questions for you. First, if the war in Iran continues past this current round of peace talks, and with thousands of troops on their way to the Middle East, is there a point, either a number of ground troops or a number of days, at which the president will consider seeking authorization from Congress?
Well, as you know right now, that formal authorization from Congress is not necessary because we're currently in major combat operations in Iran. The Department of War and the President, as I said, estimated about a 4 to 6 week timeline for the full completion of these military combat operations. We're again on day 25 today. And as a courtesy, nevertheless, the administration did notify Congress, the Gang of Eight, ahead of the launch of the operation 25 days ago. And we've also had our top national security officials go to Capitol Hill to brief lawmakers, again, out of courtesy and out of respect for them. So at this moment, it's unnecessary, but of course, the President in this administration will always abide by the law. Gabe, or do you have a follow-up?
Yes,
sure, go ahead.
Second question. In my reporting, I speak a lot to young voters, many of whom voted for President Trump for the first time in 2024, hoping to have no more wars and to have lower prices. Now, with the war taking place and with gas prices going up, curious what President Trump's message would be to those voters who kind of swung into his coalition in 2024, but maybe don't feel the administration is going as they had expected.
President Trump is doing this for you. He's doing this for young people so that we are no longer threatened by a rogue terrorist regime in the Middle East that seeks to kill the brave men and women who serve in our country in the Middle East, many of them young people themselves, young men and women who serve this country honorably in uniform and have been threatened, killed, and maimed by the rogue Iranian terrorist regime for 47 years. President Trump finally had the courage to step up and do what's right by our national security, our homeland security. As for the temporary short-term fluctuation in gas prices, the president has said once these combat operations are over, this administration is going to continue to unleash American energy dominance. We're continuing to do that every day, and we're going to see prices at the pump go back down, just as we have over the past year because of this president. And don't think for 1 second if the Democrats had their way, gas prices would be, as they were under the previous administration, the Biden administration, record highs. This president is keeping them as low as he can during this short-term combat operation, and they're going to go right back down when this is over.
Thank you.
Gabe.
Thank you, Caroline. Just within the past few hours, Iranian state TV has said that Iran has rejected the U.S.'s 15-point plan to end the war. What's the White House's response to that, and have these talks hit a dead end?
They have not. Talks continue. They are productive, as the president said on Monday, and they continue to be. However, I saw a 15-point plan that was floated in the media. I would caution reporters in this room from reporting about speculative points or speculative plans from anonymous sources. The White House never confirmed that full plan. There are elements of truth to it, but some of the stories I read were not entirely factual. So I am not going to negotiate on behalf of the president here at the podium. What I will tell you is these talks are ongoing. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty details that have been exchanged between the United States and Iran at this time.
Well, yesterday the president mentioned a very big present that the Iranians had given the U.S. He wouldn't go into detail, but was it that ship that was carrying 2 million barrels of oil that made it through the Strait of Hormuz?
I'll let the president speak on that at the appropriate time.
And then finally, Caroline, today Iraq's government reportedly is planning to lodge a protest with the U.S. According to the Wall Street Journal. There was an attack in Iraq that hit a military clinic, killing 7 soldiers reportedly. What's the U.S.'s response to that? Was the U.S. responsible for that attack?
I'll have to check in with the Pentagon on that, and we'll get you an answer.
Thank you, Caroline. Too, if I may. Speaker Johnson today described the conflict as wrapping up, but the 82nd Airborne Division, they're typically deployed at the beginning of conflicts. So does the White House consider this conflict as wrapping up, or is it changing shape?
As I said at the beginning of my remarks, we are meeting our goals of Operation Epic Fury expeditiously. The president likes to maintain options at his disposal. It's the Pentagon's job to provide those options to the Commander-in-Chief. For any specifics on troop deployments, though, I would point you to the Pentagon.
And today, Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner reiterated threats to potentially arrest ICE agents that were sent in to assist with these historically long TSA lines. He said, quote, "The president cannot pardon you." Has the president seen Krasner's comments? Does he have any response?
The president cannot pardon you for what? He's talking to the ICE agents who are handing out water bottles and are helping people move through lines at airports. It's a disgraceful comment. The men and women of ICE are great people. I would encourage this lawmaker, whose name I don't know and don't care to know, to actually sit down and speak with the ICE agents who are on the ground doing this important work, not just in our nation's airports, but again, to remove violent, dangerous, illegal alien criminals from our country, to protect this individual and all of us in this room and Americans across the country from murderers, pedophiles, and rapists who have been allowed into our country by Democrat politicians. Mario, good to see you.
Thank you, Caroline. Good to see you as well. Just given that the president postponed his original trip to China because of the war, should we infer that the war will be wound down and concluded by the time of that May 15th, 14th visit?
Again, as I've said, we've always estimated approximately 4 to 6 weeks, so you could do the math on that, Mario, but we do look forward, I know the president looks forward to going to China on May 14th and 15th, and of course, as always, we'll provide additional logistical details to all of you in the media for that trip, who I know look forward to coming with us as well.
One follow-up. Was that a precondition? Did the two leaders speak about the conclusion of the war? Was that a precondition for them to have this rescheduled meeting?
No, there was a discussion about the rescheduling of the meeting between the president and President Xi. President Xi understood that it's very important for the president to be here throughout these combat operations right now. He understood, obviously, the request to postpone and accepted it, which is why we have new dates on the books, and I'm happy to announce those to you today. Jennifer.
In negotiations with Iran, are there still face-to-face talks planned perhaps in Pakistan? And who do you think would probably be going?
Again, I've seen a lot of speculation and reporting about potential talks that could happen later this week. Nothing should be deemed official until it is announced formally by the White House. I would not get ahead of our skis on reporting about any talks this weekend until you hear directly from us.
Does the president think that all of the allies will go along with whatever the U.S. concludes with these Iranians? Are you expecting that Israel and all the other allies will follow whatever agreement is made?
I think the president has shown that he is absolutely the leader of the free world, the head of the most powerful military in the world, and in various examples, so the 12-day war between Iran and Israel, the ceasefire between Israel and Gaza, the president has shown a very unique skill at getting our allies to get on board with what's in the best interest of the United States, but also the world in cases of foreign policy like this. Ed.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. So, is there a time frame as to when the first oil tanker can go through the Strait of Hormuz freely?
It's a very good question, Ed. I don't have a specific timeline for you today, but it's obviously something the administration is working towards as quickly as we can. And with respect to oil, as you know, the administration has taken a number of actions to stabilize the markets. We directed the U.S. DFC to offer reasonably priced political risk insurance for takers through the strait. We issued that temporary waiver to allow countries to purchase sanctioned Russian oil to alleviate global pressures. We're working with the IEA to coordinate the release of another 400 million barrels. We issued that 60-day Jones Day Act waiver. And then just today, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, if you missed it, in consultation with the Department of Energy, announced a temporary emergency fuel waiver to allow nationwide sales of E15, gasoline blended with 15% ethanol, to remove all federal impediments to selling E10 gasoline across the country. The emergency fuel waiver will temporarily waive the summer low volatility requirements and blending limitations for gasoline to provide additional flexibility to the fuel marketplace. So as far as tankers through the strait, something we're tracking very closely, but obviously the administration is coming up with creative new solutions by the day to keep the price of oil stable, something the president wants to see. And I know Secretary Bessent, Secretary Wright, Secretary Burgum, EPA Administrator Zeldin are all working together closely to find ways to do that.
The president gave that 5-day timeline for pause in operations. Would a tanker going through the Strait of Hormuz be one of the conditions that he would extend that?
That's only something the President of the United States can answer. I won't get ahead of him.
How about on TSA? Can I ask you about the TSA lines?
Sure.
Are the TSA lines, we've all seen the video of that from various airports, is that going to be what ends the stalemate in Congress to get DHS funded?
Well, look, it's the Democrats who have led to this stalemate over the past 6 weeks. The president and the Republicans' position has been very clear. Fund the Department of Homeland Security. And we've attempted in good faith numerous times, both the president himself and lawmakers on the Republican side on Capitol Hill, to go to the Democrats with reasonable offers, with real solutions. They'll ask for something, we'll give them that concession, and then they say, oh wait, that's not enough, actually. So I think that's why I said earlier, the cruelty is the point. They want this chaos. They want to distract, I think, from the success of our military overseas right now, totally obliterating the Iranian regime. And it's very unfortunate because there's only, the only people that are suffering from this are the American people. And I hear that Democrats might be flying out of town tomorrow. How convenient and lovely of them that they get to go to the airport and that they'll get to go home to their families when you have families, TSA workers who are suffering. You have people across the country who are missing flights for funerals and for work commitments because of Democrat politicians on Capitol Hill. Mary, in the back.
Thanks, Caroline.
Glad to see you have a seat now.
I do. Thank you. Is the White House satisfied with Republican leadership's efforts on the Save America Act?
I think the president has made it very clear. He wants everyone on Capitol Hill to move as quickly as possible to get the Save America Act passed, and he wants to see that legislation on his desk as soon as Republicans and Democrats can move to pass it.
But are there any lawmakers in Congress that the president is frustrated with on this matter and feels could be doing a better job?
I think the president wants to see everybody on Capitol Hill move faster all the time. That he wants everyone in this town to work at Trump speed like we do here at the White House. We'll go to Karen.
Two questions on Lebanon, if I can. Is the U.S. providing support at this point for Israel's ongoing offensive in Lebanon? And is the president concerned that right now there are more than 1 million people who've been displaced and potentially could be for a significant amount of time?
That's not something I'm in a position to comment on. For the first question, to the second question, of course, that's something that would concern the president. I think that's why he's again quickly moving to eliminate the threat of the Iranian regime in the Middle East, including weakening their proxies like Hezbollah, who have terrorized Lebanon for far too long. And I know that the president wants to see this, again, move as quickly as possible as we can over the course of the next couple of weeks here.
Kristen.
Caroline, a question about the Strait of Hormuz. If these negotiations are not successful, is the only option to reopen the strait in boots on the ground, given that all of our allies have essentially said that they are unable or unwilling to help?
Look, that's a hypothetical question. It's a hypothetical question. It's also a decision that would have to be made by the commander-in-chief, and I'm not going to get ahead of him.
And in addition to that, when it comes to the Vice President, J.D. Vance, what has changed that has made him more of an active participant in these negotiations with Iran?
I don't think anything has changed. The Vice President has always been a key member, the President's right-hand man, and a key member of the President's national security team. He's been part of these discussions throughout this entire course of the administration with respect, again, to the 12-day war that the President and his national security team negotiated a solution to, with respect to the ceasefire between Israel and Gaza and the release of the hostages, which there was a lot of criticism that couldn't get done, and it did. The Vice President has been by the President's side every step of the way, and any reporting otherwise is just completely false. I see him in the room. Again, the President seeks his counsel on all matters, both foreign and domestic.
Can you just tell us who exactly the U.S. is negotiating with in Iran and why the U.S. and this administration trusts that person?
Again, as I said to Gabe's question earlier, we're not going to get into the details of these negotiations and conversations that continue to take place. As of course you can imagine, they are very sensitive diplomatic discussions. And I would reiterate, I do recall giving all of you the same answer when we were negotiating the ceasefire between Israel and Gaza. Gave you the same answer throughout the 12-day war between Iran and Israel. Gave you the same answer with respect to many of the other global conflicts that this administration has negotiated solutions to. President Trump is going to give his diplomats the freedom that they need to have these sensitive diplomatic discussions without negotiating and litigating them through the news media. Fran.
Caroline, just to follow up though, because you said that some of the information that's been out there about the 15-point plan is inaccurate. Can you say what is accurate with respect to ballistic missiles, the nuclear ambitions, and the Strait of Hormuz, which are things that the president has laid out that he wants to see a couple times in the past?
Look, if you've heard it from the President of the United States, obviously it's true, as well as the objectives of Operation Epic Fury. We've said repeatedly, I've said them from this podium, the Pentagon has reiterated them. That's why we've taken taken military action to achieve them. So of course, those are goals that we want to see, but this full 15-point plan that's been floating around in many of your outlets, there's a lot of misinformation to that as well. And again, I would caution you from taking things from anonymous sources rather than verifying them directly with the White House. Christian.
Thanks, Caroline. 2 on Iran. First, would the president consider loosening asylum restrictions for Iranians trying to flee the country right now?
Again, that's a question for the president. I won't get ahead of him on that. I haven't talked to him about that.
Okay. And then secondly, you mentioned at the top that Iran would be hit harder than they have been to this point if they don't recognize the fact that they're losing this war. Could those strikes happen before this 5-day negotiating window closes if the president doesn't think they're negotiating in good faith?
You're asking me to tell you if the commander-in-chief would authorize very strong strikes against the Iranian regime. That's not something I would ever reveal from this podium, true or not. Phil.
Here in the back. Thank you, Caroline. I was wondering if you would respond to some of this criticism of the administration from past allies like Joe Kent, who have said that the president's red line shifted from Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon to Iran cannot pursue nuclear enrichment. What is the administration's response to that criticism?
I think the president and I have both strongly responded to the criticism by Mr. Kent, who unfortunately resigned in disgrace and accused the president of basically being controlled by foreign countries and foreign manipulation, which is a ridiculous and laughable assertion. So his accusations have zero credibility as far as this White House is concerned.
The question of the red line shifting from no nuclear weapon to no nuclear enrichment, is there any substance to that argument?
I think the president has been quite clear in what he wants to see from the Iranian regime, which is why he chose to launch Operation Epic Fury in the first place. Reagan.
Thank you, Caroline. I have a question for you on the SAVE Act, and I'd like to follow up on the DHS shutdown.
Sure.
First, Senator
The
Mike
Save
Lee-
America Act.
Save America Act. The president corrected me yesterday. That was my fault. Senator Mike Lee said it's essentially impossible to pass the Save America Act through reconciliation. What's your reaction to that? Is the president worried that that strategy might fail?
I think he's willing to try all strategies. I spoke with him about this yesterday, and he said if we can make it work through reconciliation, let's absolutely do that. These, again, are common sense policies that are backed by the vast majority of voters across this country. The only people in this country who don't support them are politicians on Capitol Hill, and you all should ask them why they don't want voter ID, why they don't want proof of citizenship to vote in our nation's elections. Again, these are common sense proposals that are wildly popular, and the president is willing to use any means necessary to get this legislation passed and onto his desk.
And then on the DHS shutdown, do you expect deportations to decrease while ICE is in the airports? And what are the trade-offs of having ICE in the airports right now?
Well, to address this obviously short-term problem and the chaos that has been sowed by these Democrats on Capitol Hill, to address the lines and to get Americans traveling and get them to where they need to be. So the president, I think this was a creative solution, again, that was criticized, but we have seen wait times decrease, not as much as we'd like. Hopefully they will continue to, but at major airports over the course of the last few days as ICE has been facilitating with travelers in these airports. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. On March 6th, the president said in an interview with Reuters that the U.S. should have a role in choosing Iran's next leadership. Now that we're almost 4 weeks into the operation, is that still the president's assessment of where things should go?
As I've said repeatedly, I think the president obviously believes the United States wants to have someone in leadership position in the Iranian regime that will be much more favorable, that will be willing to work with the United States, that will no longer chant death to America. These would obviously be good common sense things for the United States and for our allies. I think that's what the president meant when he spoke with Reuters that day. Go ahead.
The president yesterday said that he had achieved regime change in Iran because the regime has changed. In terms of...
I mean, has it not?
Well, the leadership...
Their entire leadership has been killed, and nobody has really seen or legitimately heard from this alleged new leader. So wouldn't you say there's been a change in the regime?
There has been a change in leadership. I mean, do you feel as though...
There's been a change in the regime leadership, which is what the president said. So thank you for confirming he was right.
I mean, do you feel as though you've achieved leadership level, or the personnel in place right now in Iran that you're satisfied with? I mean, have you...
I think it's too soon to say.
In terms of highly enriched uranium in Iran right now, is your expectation, I mean, the stated desire of the president has been to prevent nuclear weapons. Is your expectation that the end game here is that eventually Americans will be in possession of that uranium, or you'll somehow have some direct control over the highly enriched uranium that could be used to develop it?
Again, this is a point of conversation that continues. I think you know the means in which the United States would have to take in order to achieve that goal, and that's a decision for the president to make. Brian, good to see you, Brian Glenn.
Good to see you as well. Does the White House have a comment on a letter that was sent from Congressman Raskin to the DOJ alleging that the DOJ recklessly released damning information in regards to President Trump's documents?
Yes, I saw that letter from Congressman Raskin this morning, who I would add has zero credibility, and this letter was clearly a cheap political stunt. What the congressman did here, Brian, and for everyone in the room who's hopefully not reporting on this as fact, is that he took untrue and salacious claims in a memo that was produced by Jack Smith, who has been completely discredited for his lawfare and his witch hunts against this president, and that information was unverified. It never even made it into the indictment because it was so unverified. And what happened to that indictment anyway? It was thrown out. And Jack Smith has been proven, again, to be a prosecutor on a witch hunt against President Trump. He tried to throw him in jail ahead of the 2024 election. The Biden Department of Justice was fully on board with this lawfare campaign. And in fact, this story that was concocted by Congressman Raskin was so ridiculous, I understand his communications team reached out to some outlets in this room who responsibly said, we're not going to write this because this is just too much. However, of course, MS Now did write that story this morning because they continue to be left-wing propaganda for the Democrat Party. But I think Jack Smith has been proven to be a liar and a fraud, and this is, again, a cheap political stunt from a Democrat on Capitol Hill who I think wants to get himself on cable television. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, so the White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt fielding questions from the press in Washington, announcing that tomorrow President Trump will hold his 11th cabinet meeting of his second administration. You can catch that right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. At this hour, we're also learning that President Trump will travel to China to meet with President Xi Jinping on May 14th and the 15th, and that there will be a reciprocal visit in D.C. later this year. Meantime, tonight, our coverage for the president's remarks at the National Republican Congressional Committee annual fundraising dinner at the Union Station in D.C. Our coverage will start at 6 o'clock. Also, this all brought to you by some great sponsors, including none other than mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, MyPillow with a lot of great products, of course, there. The Mega Sale 2.0, the free shipping that you are seeing on your screen. Use that RSBN promo code at checkout. The great Mike Lindell running for governor in Minnesota, having this company and a number of others doing well out there. mypillow.com/RSBN. Speaking of Right Side, if you'd like to donate, all you have to do is visit rsbnetwork.com/donate as we continue to grow and expand here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. For all of us here at RSBN, I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for live streaming in. We'll see you later tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern Time.